Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Imperium magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys, and it goes an absolute massive way to help the channel too. Now, this week we are on issue 23 of Imperium magazine, and we also get that Necron Canoptek Spider, the giant death spider, which is pretty damn cool. Loads of little details to it. It is a single pose model though, so there's not much kind of you can do with it unless you want to try and convert it. On the underside you have got some pretty cool little features, so you can see all these little scarabs that are kind of hiding away inside the shell of the mini. Yeah, really good stuff though. I'm looking forward to getting going with this guy. Definitely one that I've been kind of looking forward to, and should be really good fun. Into the issue itself, we are of course greeted by the Canoptek Spider page as well here. So they are the protector of the tomb, so these lethal multi-limbed technological terrors scurry and fly across the battlefield, repairing their Necron masters and unleashing their terrible weaponry upon the living. So part of their weaponry, they do have particle beamers, which these are Necron technology of course that fire particle beams that are poorly understood by a lot of people as well. So the Adeptus Mechanicus believe them to emit a stream of antimatter particles that explode on contact with their target. They have automaton claws as well, so they are razor sharp and possess incredible power, and it has been witnessed that they can tear the armour of space marines apart and tear them limb from limb. They have a fabricated claw array as well, so which is part of their functionality to kind of repair and maintain their Necron brethren. And they also have a gloom prism as well, which can kind of counter the powers of most psychers of the opposing forces as well. And they do also contain the scarab hives just underneath them as well, which they carry around, which can do a lot of damage, and they can also be used of course to repair and revive fallen Necrons, which is one of the main things that the scarabs can do. On the other page we get of course the battle record as per usual with it, so you can kind of give it its name from a D6, its enhancements, you can give it its protocols, and you can also give it its other protocols as well, so depending on which one you want to go for, and you can do a lot of little bits and pieces with them, so which is pretty cool. And I mean, granted the names are pretty terrible, but you can get something out of it, which is always really good stuff as well, and it kind of gives you a little bit of extra kind of taste and flavour to your game, enhances your Necron army, improves it. Really good stuff, and always quite fun as well. So really good stuff. Then we get information about the different Canoptek constructs that exist. So for instance, of course, for Canoptek Scarab Swarms, which we have had with the Necron Warriors before, which are you little buggers down here, which are perhaps the lowliest form of Canoptek construct. They are also the most numerous. So their primary function is to break down any material and transform it into energy. So they are often accompany the first wave of Necron assault, flying out to tear down fortifications with their mat-devouring mouth parts and slaughter unfortunate defenders with their razor-sharp claws. There are the Canoptek Doomstalkers, just listed just above here as well. So these are tasked with defending Necron armories. They are equipped with a range of lethal weapons, including devastating doomsday blasters, that possess enough power to destroy the heaviest of enemy war machines, which is a very defensive unit and pretty cool as well, as they do look a bit alien, bit of War of Worlds type of kind of creature as well, so pretty cool stuff. We have the Canoptek Spiders, which of course we've got in this issue. There are Canoptek Wraiths as well, so these are one of the most feared forms of Canoptek construct. They are serpentine machines with long bladed limbs and are capable of floating as well as phasing in and out of existence. They use this ability to ambush their prey, often passing through solid walls and appearing as if from nowhere to shred intruders with their fearsome scalpel-like claws, which is a pretty overpowered kind of ability really, isn't it? You have Canoptek Reanimators, which are tall, ungainly looking constructs. They are called upon to repair damage to a tomb world during an attack. And then we have our good old Canoptek plasma sights, which we've already had one of these guys before as well. So they are diminutive and lightly armoured constructs. Their primary tactic is, of course, to ensure that corrupted engrams are removed and the android brains of slumbering Necrons, and they have been co-opted by the Destroyer cults as well to kind of hang around with them. Then we get more information about the Disciples of the Machine Guard, aka the Adeptus Mechanicus. So, to the Adeptus Mechanicus, the maintenance of technology and the pursuit of knowledge are the most holy duties. Those who interfere with their holy works are cruelly punished or swept aside by endless legions of unflinching steel soldiers. So, if you know anything about the Adeptus Mechanicus, you will know that, of course, they are very robotic, kind of the Adeptus Astartes version of, and the Empire's Imperium of bands, versions of essentially of the Necrons in a kind of roundabout way. However, they are of their own free will. So they originate mainly from Mars, and they have kind of, poured their heart and soul and devotion into worshipping the Machine Guard and looking forward to technological advances, and even finding old tech that can be repurposed and reused to push towards a new kind of age and save humanity as well at the same time. They are, of course, the cohorts and legios as well, which is all their kind of abilities and everything like that. And they can bring forward different formidable firepower as well upon their foes. They have, of course, Tech Marines. So Tech Marines are Space Marines who have been inducted into Cult Mechanicus, enabling them to look after their chapter's technology. So there isn't just the Adeptus Mechanicus that have this kind of devotion to technology. There is also the Tech Marines as well from a Space Marine range, which is always pretty cool and looks pretty decent and different, which is always a really good fun thing. Then we have how to build the Canoptek Spider. Definitely worth making sure you dry fit in pieces, so you don't get any kind of mould lines or any kind of massive gaps or anything like that, because it does look better as long as it's all flush, which is the main thing. So really cool stuff. Fairly straightforward. There are quite a few parts, so make sure you're getting them right, but you'll be absolutely fine, I'm sure of it. And a lot of cool little bits and pieces that can be added on, the kind of like little hidden details that are just on the underside of a model, so it gives it a lot more to look at. You do have multiple different kind of, a couple of different heads, so depending if you want to have a one mandible or if you want the double mandible, entirely up to you. I personally prefer the double mandible. It looks a little bit more kind of sinister and has that kind of a little bit more of an edge to it, which is always pretty damn cool. And when it's all done, you'll be putting on your flyer base, which is very different because it is clear plastic, and you have a clear plastic stem. Entirely up to you if you want to go for a shorter stem or if you want to go for the longer stem. Entirely up to you, and you can actually, instead of having it completely straight, you can tilt it if you wish to. Entirely up to you though, but really good stuff. Then you got your painting guide as well. So the painting guide, entirely up to you how you want to go about doing it. Their way is actually a pretty decent way, using Rune Lord Brass, Abaddon Black, and kind of giving it that detailed look that we so kind of enjoy looking at as well, which is pretty cool. And there are quite a few bits and pieces to it. Paint it up the same way as you paint your main Necron forces, in all honesty, and it'll look far better, and it'll fit in with it as well. So, but your painting guide is actually pretty decent. There will be a few things that will come up later on when we get certain other paints, so you will be going back to it. But if you don't want to go back to it, you can always do it this way, then choose your rest of your paints. I would personally make sure that you go over the metallic areas with one of the shades, so non-oil or Agrak Surf shade, and then dry brush back over the top with the Rune Lord Brass, for instance, and you can get a really good look out of it. It'll look a bit more battle damaged, a bit more worn, and that kind of tinted and everything like that, and it gives it a bit of a different look, which is always really cool. Then we have a data sheet. So this data sheet includes the Canoptek Spiders, which has a 4 power, and of course the Canoptek Scarab Swarms as well. So it has their full stats, their keywords, their factions of course, and it also has their abilities listed on there for weapons, range, everything like that as well. So for movements, really, really cool stuff. So they are pretty decent, they are pretty cool, they look very, very different. The Canoptek Spider is equipped with 2 particle beamers, 1 fabricated claw array and 1 gloom prison. So it does have a couple of extra bits and pieces to it. So it has, of course, the 2 weapons, 1 melee, 1 shooting, and then we also have the other war gear, which is its fabricated claw array, which you can utilise at the end of the movement phase, and you can also use the gloom prison in your opponent's psychic phase as well, which can be pretty cool and pretty different as well. So some cool new little bits to learn. And then of course you have the information of how to actually utilise them, and of course denying psychic powers and explosions as well. So it has an explodes ability, which is listed on its datasheet. This ability is triggered when the unit is destroyed, but before the model is removed from combat. So when the model is destroyed, the Necron player must roll a single dice. If the result is a 6, the spider explodes and every model within 3 inches will suffer 1 mortal wound. Then you can remove the spider from the battlefield. So a pretty cool little extra feature. However, if you have your spider surrounded by, for instance, Necron warriors, they're going to be in trouble as well. So it is always worth kind of making sure you're spread out a little bit more and not so close to that, just on the off chance that you do roll a 6 and boom, it happens. You got your playthrough as well, which looks pretty decent as well. I've not had time to play it myself. So you get your Necron warriors, Canoptek Spider, Scarab swarms going up against the aggressors, and Librarian in Phobos armour, which gives you a little bit of range. It's on the newer playmat as well, and it is literally one side going up against the other. It is basically wipe out everything. So you overrun the battery, so the Necrons will have to cut a path through the Imperial defenders to reach their objective, and Space Marines must be obliterated swiftly to do so. And for the Space Marines, their whole kind of objective is to wipe out the Necrons as well, so destroy all of them. But pretty decent, looks pretty cool, and a little bit more different. And yeah, you can have a bit of fun with this one. So it's you could have some really good fun with it, especially with that Canoptek Spider as well, which is always really, really cool. And of course, make sure you're following the kind of instructions, kind of give you a background of how to play it as well, which is always definitely the way to do it. On to next week though, we get paint. So next week we get Rackar Flesh, and we also get Norn Oil. Not a fantastic issue, the value's not really there in the issue, but we have got some really cool stuff later on. For instance, issue 25 we get Necron Immortals. These can be made into the snipers, which are really, really cool. So entirely up to you which build you want to go through, but we should be getting some more of these later on, so it might be worth just going with Immortals for the time being. Who knows? But yeah, really, really good stuff. A lot of really good stuff to look forward to with the magazine. I mean, at the end of the day, we're only on issue 23, so there is plenty of room for it to kind of get really, really going and give us a lot of cool goodies as well. That's it from me. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye now.